Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to the next class of C programming. Here today we're going to discuss about the functions. Yesterday we discussed about the pointer and a bit of functions as well. The theoretical part we have discussed already. How many types of functions, how do we declare them, how do we call them, how do we define them, and what do you mean by definitions. There are two big terms over there we have discussed about, and those were return type and arguments. So using these two terms we have got four combinations. Either we have return type or argument in the function or not. So depending upon these two combinations, we used to define our function, and similarly based on the definition we used to call them in our main function, right? So this is what we have discussed yesterday. So people will join in next few minutes, I hope so. And meanwhile we can start the discussion ahead. And today we're going to discuss, or we'll do it, we'll do the implementation practically. So if you have some questions earlier, whatever we have discussed, please ask now, and otherwise we'll go ahead with the implementation part of functions. Shall I go ahead now? So meanwhile I should share my screen. I hope it's visible. Yeah, this one, not this one. Yeah. So we discussed about arrays, the pointers, and memory allocations, the addressings, right? And the theoretical part of functions. How many types of function do we have? How do we call them? What do you mean by return type? And how do you call any function by call by values, right? And what are user defined functions? What are predefined functions? How do we prepare our library? And all these things, this, theoretically we have discussed so far. So today let's implement them and go ahead with the implementation part of string.h, the another library do we have. If we'll have time, we'll try to implement that as well today. Okay. Yeah, so let me open the debugger or the compiler. Yes, we have this online GDB, the another one. I'm using another one. The earlier one was JDoodle, right? Okay, let me open the writing pad as well. Yeah. So we have discussed about four types of functions, if you remember. The first one that we have seen is through no return type, and we have a function named as ABC with no arguments. And here we're gonna do something, right? Whatever we want to do, we can do something here, right? And this thing, whatever we are doing here, right, will give us some result, and that result can be used by calling this name in main function, right? So let us implement that. Okay. Yeah, so what we have done here, we remove this. This was a part of pointer. Suppose we have a variable here, and let me move this. Yeah. So we have a function, like if you remember, we told that we will make the first category of function. Suppose the name of the function is sum, right? Sum means we want to do some summation of two variables. Suppose I have variable called I, which is 0. I have another variable j, which is suppose 10, and let me make it 330, suppose, right? And I want to do some calculation. Suppose int k is equal to I plus j, right? And I want to print something here. Printf percentile d and then comma k, right? I want to print all three values. So percentile d percentile D and I comma J comma K. So this is how you can print all three values also, right? All three values also. Here, in fact, you can do some sort of like suppose I want to print them with a space slash T backslash T backslash T like this also. Yeah. Okay. Right. So now here we have got two variables. It's pretty simple. We want to add them, but not in main function, because somewhere here we want to change something again and again, and this thing will be totally separated from the main function. Okay, in main function we'll do main activity. This is one of the activity that we are doing right now for summation of two variables. Okay, and that we are printing also what are the numbers and what will be the result. All three values will be printed, right? Okay, so this is called as definition. Definition means which covers the exact understanding about the internal logic that you wanna do inside this function. Okay. Now, if you remember, I told that we should declare this as well. Yeah. So this is how we can declare on the top of the main function. I told this thing, the first line would be same. It would be same, and we have to declare it on the top of main function. Simply, we have to put here a semicolon, right? Through this, compiler of C programming will understand that something with a name called sum has already defined down the line to this particular, below to this main function as well. Okay. Now, let me remove this as well. We don't need it. Now I want to call, right? So anything could be called, or this function could be called with the name, right? So here the name of the function is sum. So sum, we have to write here sum, and the way we have defined, similarly we have to call it also. So at the time of calling, don't need to write this void here, right? If you do this, which means this is called as declaration. In calling, you just simply call it through the name which you have defined here. So this thing will be used in terms of calling, right? And you would put a semicolon over here as well, right? So these three lines, main function, summation, and return, we are using return 0 because here we have used int, right, in main function. Then this summation function is called. So this is what we have called as declaration of function, right? This is calling of function, right? This is calling, right? And this is called as definition, right? Okay. Now let me run this code. I hope you know what will be the answer. The answer is something whatever we have written here, and the only thing which we have seen is going to be printed, because here only one single line is to print the three values of variables which we have declared already, and the answer that we are getting in another variable. Okay, so this is what we have seen, the first type of function definition. Okay, what if I would write here int I, right? This is my first variable, so I should not use something here. Let me remove this, right? So what will happen, because this is your second type of definition of functions. This is the second type of function, you can say, right? Here you have given some argument, and here the first argument that you have given is of integer type. So at the time of calling, similarly here as well, you have to type the same thing, same story. But at the time of calling, you need not to give integer. Even you have to pass the value of that integer. Suppose the integer value that you are passing is 34. So 34 will be uh, redirected to this variable called I. In other ways, or in other words, you can say I is 34 now, right? I is 34 now. Yeah. Ashwani, this is good thing. Thank you. You remember that. So using void in main function is a wrong practice. Let me repeat my words once again. Using void in the main function is the wrong practice. However, using void is the category to use in any particular function, and it is one of the best practice to use these things, either void or any return type. When you have no return type, please try to use void for user defined function, but for main, please don't use it. Okay, I hope you remember this, and I cleared my voice. I mean words also on the same topic that we have discussed earlier in the first class of C programming. I hope so. I've told this. Why did I use void before int and declaration of function? Yeah, this void, right? So declaration means exactly the same thing. It's about your upper body of your function. So declaration means compiler wants to know whether the function that has been defined, in the program later is of this type, where there is no return type and there is one argument. Okay, and that argument is still of an integer type. I hope you have understood this. The meaning of this line is to make the compiler understand about the definition of the program, I mean the function. Here we have defined void because we don't want to return anything, and we have used a particular argument of integer type, where if we'll pass that value during calling, right, so that value will be passed to that variable which we have defined in the definition. Let me repeat this line once again. This value which we have called during this calling of the function will be passed to this variable called I. Now I will become 34 for first time, right? Again, if I would call this function, I can call this function for n number of time. Instead of 34, I can write 45, I can write 78, anything, right? I can write anything. So I would try to run this function, I mean the program, and we would get the answer 34, 10, 44, right? This was the first answer. Then 45, because we have called this function again. So 45, 10, and 55. Then 78, 78, and 10 and 88, right? Let me write here backslash n also, right? So what will happen every time you are passing some value is going to be redirected to this particular variable. So instead of one variable, let me put both the variables here, int j, right? So because here we have declared about two variables, similarly, sorry, defined two variables. Similarly, we have to declare two variables also, and same definition should be called. So here we have to pass two values at a time. Similarly, here as well, we have to pass two values at a time. And now these two values individually would be referred to these two variables, right? In the same order. So first value we have defined as 34 will be referred to I, and the next one will be referred to the next value. What if now if you just pass third value also, right, fourth value also, which means this function requires 4 parameters or 4 arguments in definition also, in declaration also, which you haven't done, right? So if I'll run this program, there would be an error, like you are calling something which you have never defined earlier, right? You're calling something which you have never defined. Declaration or definition is not correct. So you have to pass the amount of value or number of values, the amount of values which you have already, or number of argument which you have defined already in the function. So this is the second category, where you can actually pass n number of argument at a time. No issues for 5, 10, 20 different arguments. But as many as number of argument would be, this function would become bulky for a user to operate. How will he remember that he should pass 10, 20 different values basically inside the brackets, right? So this will become bulky. You should avoid this practice as well. Okay. So now this function becomes very easy for us. We can yeah, see how easy it is now. Only two lines here is helping us to show the result, and whatever you want to pass, this is totally separate. Sorry, this is totally separate. You need not to pass these values in variables. By the way, you need not to repeat these lines again and again. What else you can give? Let me do one more thing. Let us use two variable a, right, and b also, right. Let us ask from a user scanf percentile d comma ampersand a, right, and printf, we want to ask a user to enter any particular first number. Enter your first number. Enter your second number. So your first number and second number will be entered by a user. Let me put it B here, and both the values, right? Let me use backslash n also. Okay, and here backslash t, so that after a space you will type first number, after a space you will type second number, and then after result will be displayed. So instead of a specific value, we can pass here a comma b. Now how beautiful it is. The values would be entered by a user, right? The first number and second number. Every time he is entering a number, will be referred to these two variables called a and b. Suppose the first time that user has entered 10, and the second value has entered as 20, right? So 10 and 20 will be passed to these values, these two variables called a and b, because we are calling a function. So compiler will go to this function called sum. Now whatever values we were having for a and b will be passed, will be referred to these two variable I and j, right? So we had entered 10 and 20, and those 10 and 20 will be the values for I and j for this function calling, right? Now we'll go ahead, and here we'll have the summation, and the result will be displayed like that, right? This is what is the purpose of using functions. Okay, this is the second category. The first category, where there is no argument, is rarely used. Yes, there is a big use case of that type of function also, but people try to use a kind of function more where we have arguments, we have return types, either second category, third category, and fourth category, and depending upon use cases they used to use it. Okay, if you have only definition, if you have some task to do and that is repeatable, yes, there are multiple tasks which will be repeatable multiple times, so you should use the first category of function where there is no return type and no argument. Okay, and it all depends upon your use cases. For current use case, we have to let's run this program, and we have to go through with this kind of definition only. So first, enter your first number. My number is suppose 98, and now there is a problem here. We are entering our first number, and let me put wait. Okay, because we are running a program now, let me enter something else. Yeah, so I had to wait earlier, right? Let me run this program again. This is quite slow. 23. It's quite slow. And did we do some mistake? I don't know. We are putting some values again. 23 and then 12 and then 35. So what is the use of this variable? Okay, right. So we need to put a space here because whenever we'll enter, there'll be a problem. Like yesterday or day before yesterday, we have already seen that. So 12 again. So 12, 12 and 24. It's going good, but again, we are getting some, runtime error. And this runtime means you can say execution error where or execution difficulties also, right? So we are typing 12 and again I have to type 12 before printing the second number, right? Before printing the second number. However, according to the execution, it should happen that we should give the first number. Let me put here a specific value. Let me define it with 0 and 0. Enter your first number, we're going good. Enter your second number, we're going good. It's not about to give this space. Just let me run this program again. JDoodle will require input parameters, before entering into it. Let me do it also on JDoodle. And that is the wrong thing in these online compiler. Yeah, let me copy this program. Go to JDoodle. And it may happen with you, so please don't lose your hope, right? Don't lose your hope. Let me change it. And we have to give two inputs. I have to pass here both the values, 23 and 26. Yeah, so it's going good. So the first number, second number would be displayed here because we have already, entered the values here. So your result would be 23, 26 and 49. And why 49? Why 49? Okay, correct. So the addition would be 49 only, right? So let me put different values, 89 and 567. Yeah, it's going good. So try to understand the meaning of this program where we have declared a function of summation type, right? What if I would do the same thing? Let me copy and paste and paste, right? So this is what we have, a function called sub, summation, subtraction, multiplication and division. We have made 4 functions. Here the definition is quite same. Here we have used I and j, similarly I and j like that. So because I and j and k, all 3 variables are local variables, it means you can define, you can use these variables n number of times anywhere in the program because all these are local variables. And here don't tell this thing is called as global, right? Because we have to define global variable like this, right? This is global. We have not declared them global. This was declaration of function, right? So similarly we have to go through with definition of all 4 functions, not definition, declaration of all 4 functions, right? So this is sub, this is mul, this is div, right? So we have these 2 variables only. Enter your first number, second number, and we'll go on calling all 4 functions and we'll display the result. Similarly here, sub multiply and division, right? So these are 4 functions. So this is cool. And we have given the inputs. Suppose my inputs are 12 and maybe 7, right? These are two inputs. This is A, this is B. And here we have called these functions one by one. It means the result which is going to come, we may print here printf within bracket result for some summation is right, so that we can understand how is going on, right? Which function is going on. Summation goes. I don't know whether subtraction or subtraction. I don't know. Is similarly here multiplication, and here as well division, right? So as soon as this function will be called, this something will happen here and we'll get the result. Similarly for this, and similarly for this, similarly for this, and all four functions will be called and the program will be ended. Let me run this program. So your first number, second number has been entered. Here we have already entered them, right? So result for summation is 12, 7 and 19. 12, 7 and the summation is 19. Similarly here 12, 7 and 19. What we have done, we have not changed the symbol here. It should be minus, it should be multiplication, and it should be division, right? So let me execute it once again. Yeah, so 12, 7 and 5, 12, 7 and 84, 12, 7 and 1, depending upon division, multiplication, and subtraction summation, right? What if I want to do it 10 times? So for, you can put it for int x is equal to 5 times, not 4, I mean 10 times. Let's go for making it implemented for 5 times, right? Less than 5 and x plus plus. So this thing in main function is going to happen and is going to be repeated for 5 times, like same input 5 times, the result is going to happen and going to be printed here, right? Everything is going to be printed. Very cool. Now let me remove this. I don't want any for loop or such thing. Now I want a function of all these situations. So instead of sum, what we can do, we can write here calculator, calc. Instead of using all these things in different functions, what we can do is we can just cut the lines from here. Sorry, we can cut the lines from here and we can go here for, but we don't need to declare this again and again, right? Similarly, this thing. So instead of going in 4 situations, let me remove this. So we don't need 4 functions, by the way. We can go for only one single function, right? So anything may happen with this. So the program which we have written, number of lines have got reduced. This is how we reduce the number of lines also, right? So calc, purpose is same, answer is coming same. The one which we wanted, now number of lines have been reduced, right? Now instead of calling multiple question, okay, so here we need to change the declaration also. So this is calc. Yeah, so number of lines have been reduced, okay, and let me execute it. So 12, 7 and 19, same thing is coming up, same results are coming up, but we have got different way of execution. So we have gone through with this function where everything is printed here. What we can do here now, we can use switch case also. Switch, in which we could ask whether tell us which operation do you want, right? So it could be anything anything like a symbol maybe. So it will be a character. So A, B, C, D we can type, or summation for summation plus, or anything. Like suppose I have got a character called operation OP, right? So we have placed OP here. Now you'll get the best use case here, right? Now you have got case one where we have A, right? And we need to break this as well. This is your first case. You can ask questions whenever you want, right? I'm just giving you an idea how you can use switch case and how you can make a betterment with these kind of conditions. And this is what we have learned so far. Everything, whatever we are doing is what is being learned in last couple of classes, right? So case C, and that's it. Nothing. We have to use break. Similarly, we have to use break. So D, and make me. And this is called as indentation, proper indentation, right? So that everything should be visible properly, right? So we have got 4 cases. So now in this definition, what we have done, we have made 3 arguments, and the other argument, the third argument is of character type, char op, right? Even you can remove this also if you want in declaration. What you have defined, the first, there are 3 argument, and these argument are of this type. The order of these argument in calling would be in the same way, right? Okay. If you'll define those variables, it's a good practice. You will remember how many variables did you use. Okay. So in calling also, you can say, you can give the third user input, enter your choice, and your choice could be from A, B, C, or D. Choice among A, B, C, D. Okay. Now instead of D, you should use C, and here it's C. Not C. Yeah, we have to go through with another variable called C. Right. Initially, C is nothing. Now you will enter something here in this standard input, and where we have gone through with A, suppose. Now we want summation. So the first switch case will be running here. Okay, now I have to keep this condition also inside the switch, right? Otherwise, if it will be outside, then every time k will be the summation of I plus j. So you have declared this variable locally. The use of this variable is for getting resultant, right? And this is how you execute it. Okay, it's pretty simple. Cool. We'll also we'll try to reduce the number of lines now ahead as well, right? So this is somewhat we have got a sensible program for making a basic calculator. Again, something, yeah. So in terms of calling also, we have to write here the third variable called C.
सब ब्रेक के बाद सेमीकोलन भी नहीं लगाया.
Where, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Now it should run. So your first choice is, enter choice was A, and here result of for summation is 12, 7, and 19. Only first execution of the first case is done, because we have given A here in this input section, right? User input was A, right? So how can we reduce number of lines now? So instead of displaying this thing here, Can't we do it outside the switch case? Because lines, all these lines are same. This line is same. So why to repeat again and again? We can remove this from all the switch cases. So what will happen? Something will happen here for K, and then this loop or this switch case will be broken. It will come out of it, and then the result will be printed, right? So let me, so here we have reduced 3 more lines. Now something, yeah, same thing is coming up. Same thing is coming up. Can we reduce some more lines now? Can we do something else? We can remove this line as well. We can simply write, instead of summation or whatever we have given, instead of explaining those things, we can simply put your result is. We can directly write here, your result is, right? And that's it. Let me execute it once again. So your result is this. So why to put I and J here? Why to put I and J here? Let me remove this. And that's it. Let's remove I and J. And let's execute. It's very simple. Your result is 19, right? This is how we can prepare a particular function. Here, the function is of such type where we have arguments. Now, instead of printing it here, can't we print it? Can't we print it here itself after Kelsey? Right? So how we'll do it? So we have to return something. And once we want to return, so return value is K. K is integer type. It means we should use int here. So whenever we are changing the type of function, then we have to think about the amount of variable that we are actually using, right? So here I want to return the value of K. I want to return the value of K. So now this is generic one. You need not to change it in a future, right? Anything may happen. You have got 4 cases, A, B, C, D, right? First value is the first input, second input, and third is the case, or you can say the operation. You have to give A, B, C, D for all 4 operations of this calculator, right? And whatever will happen, whatever will be the result, will be returned back to the function. And here, because we have got something returned from the function, we have to grab this data. Suppose I've got the resultant is in R, okay? R is initially 0. So let me grab this data in R. R is equal to this. Let me put R here instead of K. So what will happen? Whatever is returned from this function, and that is K, K will be equal to one particular operation result, and this K will come back to R. R, whatever R will be coming, will be of integer type, then will be printed here with this function. So everything is happening in main function, but whatever is actually repeating, whatever is repeatable, right, is actually written in this function. And this is called as 4th category of function, where we have return type of integer type and we have arguments also, okay? So let me execute it. What happened? Kelsey definition calling it. Okay, here also we have to change. Instead of void, we have to write here int. Same thing. Whatever you have written here should be written here as well. Okay. Declaration should be same. So enter your first number. We have entered 12. Enter second number, which is 7. Enter the operation which we have entered as A. Among A, B, C, D, it was A, and your result is 19. So there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. So that there could be programmer among you only, right? So somebody will be using first method, second method, third method, and somebody will go behind and try to execute some, some specific logic through which number of lines will be reduced and amount of time for execution will also be reduced. Is that okay? Any problem, anyone till now? Any problem, anyone till now? So we have seen three different types of functions. How do we define them? How do we call them? How do we actually declare them? Declaration will be on the top of the program, before main, after main, after completing or the boundary of main, we can define any function. We have used switch case, we have taken user inputs, we have calculated something, we have returned some data, we have printed that data which has been returned by that function. Is that okay? Any problem, anyone? Give me a note now. Very good, very good. Perfect. So let us try to execute one more thing. Here in this calculator, if we want to implement the third type of function where we should not have any argument, this is the best one, by the way. I would just copy this to your chat box and let me save this in my notes also. Day 11. Yeah. So I want to use third category of function also, where we have no argument and we have a return type. So what we can do, we can just put these three things here. We can put all the things here. We don't need, yeah, we need C also, and we no need to go through with calling of this particular function cal C. Only the thing which we have is going to be returned from this function called K. So either you call or either you use this section in the main one or inside the cal C only. That is depending upon you. See how much and how many lines you have written in main function. Just 3 to 4 lines of code is there for main function. It's pretty simple. If you are concerned with cal C, then go for this function and execute everything, whatever is available here, right? Okay, so let me run this program. The answer will be same, but definition here again, I need to change the definition. We should remember declaration and definition both. And what is happening? R. Okay, so we have to declare this variable here as well, and R is equal to 0, right? Because R is used in this main function only, and here we have declared this one for cal C function only. Okay, so what we have understood, we can, something has happened. OP. What is OP? Instead of OP, we have C here. So whatever is the choice is coming in C. We have to change this variable also. Okay. Now something else has happened. INJ. What is this? Instead of INJ, we have to change it for A and B. Cool. Earlier it was INJ, so we should have A plus B. Similarly, A minus B. A into B. I'm just giving you an idea how to use functions. Okay. So A divided by B. Now I hope it should work. Yeah. So first number, second number, and choice, and the result is 19. If you will change it from 7 to 56, the result will be different. Yeah. So result is 68 because we are giving A. Instead of A, if I would put B, result is minus 44. If I would C, I would choose C, then the result is 672. If I choose D, the result is 0. So 12 divided by 56 will give you 0, 0, right? And this is how we have seen the definition and calling of all 4 category of functions. Is that okay? Is that clear, everyone? Now, after completing the section of functions, we can go ahead to implement any project, right? However, we have to complete at least this string part as well, right? I want to check multiple things for any string. So we have to use another library, and the next topic also. The topic is strings in string functions in C, and we have multiple function. Every single function have different, use cases, or I would say, I mean, every function in this header file is very important for us for making any particular project. Okay, so tomorrow we'll try to complete this, and we'll go for implementing a project also. So if this section which we have discussed today is clear, let me put this um, to your chat window as well. This chat window. Cool, clear. It's very simple. I believe it's pretty simple. The only thing that you have to concentrate upon different ways of writing the same program. Okay, and you should choose different ways because you have to just simplify the programming. Okay, you should simplify the logics. If you will calculate number of lines, it's just 43 number of lines, right? And where you have given the space, perfect spaces, if you will remove these spaces, then it will be pretty cool. And let me just do this. Yeah, so 37 lines of code is there. That's it. It's very simple, right? So if it is clear, so I would give you a task. A task is you have to take user inputs for any pin. You have to take user input for any pin. Pin can be any character or any number also, right? Any character or any number. And if that number or character like a pin is entered correctly, then this calculator should work. Then this calculator should work. Can you do this? Can you do this? If that pin is not working, then there should be a message, enter your pin again, and there should be a facility of re-entering that pin into the program. Could it happen? It's pretty simple. You have to go for loop. You have to take care of your inputs. You have to compare the result, which means decision making using if else, or with any use case you can go through with. Can you switch statement also? So this is what is the task. Can you do this? Task is clear, right? You have to call this function. You have to use this calc. This calc can be used only when your pin is correct and a specific pin is there. Suppose your pin could be 4567. This is your pin. If you entered it correctly, then only this calculator could be used. Otherwise, a message could be coming, your pin is incorrect, and you have to you can simply understand the task in such a way that you have to have a particular password or pin to operate this calculator, and it should have a loop where you can ask for multiple times for entering your pin once again. Is that okay? Is that okay? It can be done. Vaibhav, other people, task is clear. Perfect. So you have to operate this calc on a pin. That's it. Then we'll see if we have to restrict this pin after entering this pin 3 times if it is wrong, right? We have to restrict it for the count also. Can we change the pin also? We want to give a facility in a program that you can change the pin as well, right? So all these things which we have discussed, we'll try to do in the project, because that project will cover couple of sections, and where in that project we would have multiple functions, multiple conditions, and throughout that project, we'll go through with every topic whichever we have discussed till array. So array, pointers, I would say uh, string.h, and functions, loops, conditional statements, operators, everything is going to be used in that particular project. Okay. So till then, if you have question, please ask. Vaibhav, I said you have to use this Kelsey on a pin. If your pin is correct, then only this Kelsey should be working. If that pin is not correct, then there should be a message that please try to enter this pin again. And this process should be continued. If you enter the right pin, then the operation of this Kelsey could be started. Maybe you would ask the first numbers and second number and third, your operation, and you will get the result. Again, it will ask you the pin, and like that it should happen. I have repeated couple of times. We'll provide you the recording. If I hope the question is clear, right? So should I complete this session today now? Do you have any question? Broadcast or podcast? Podcast is a service, a small service where people are talking about your uh, audio format. I would say the audio file. Suppose for any specific story, you have a book. Suppose for let us see, I have sent you let us see, right? So somebody would record everything in his story format to entire let us see, and it will be an audio format. So your book is available in PDF format, to which you have to read everything. Instead of that, podcast is related to audio format, right? Whereas there's no video, because video requires or takes a good amount of space. You need to have screen for that. Instead of that, in Podman, in any particular Walkman, right, you can play that audio and you can understand what is the concept, right? So like in this class also, you are listening my voice. What if it is a story? So podcast is related to a kind of platform, and many people, many companies have prepared this platform where you, if you want, like if you are a good narrator, then what you can do, you just start dubbing some content, right, which could be helpful for some people. Any story, any book, any incidents, anything, whatever you want, right? So that is podcast. And broadcast, which is something really big. Broadcast means from one source you have to actually broadcast this to many different sources. Like suppose let's talk about the you have a tower, right? Whenever you call somebody from your mobile phone, so you dial a number. As soon as you enter or you press the green button, right? So it will connect to your tower, nearest tower, and the tower will broadcast that signal to a satellite. Or you will say this this tower will connect to the satellite, and then again that satellite will broadcast that signal to entire earth. And wherever that person to whom you are connecting with are going to be connected, right, is available in any particular network, right? So then this call is going to be connected through that particular broadcasting channel. Like you are getting live telecast, right? So that telecast is being available on your mobile phone or on different devices, because it has been broadcasted from some sources. Okay. So live telecast is being broadcasted by some other sources. So broadcast is related to networking, and podcast is just related to your platform where you are actually putting your audio files. Is that clear, Vaibhav? Okay, so this fiber cable is a medium. It can be LAN cable also. It can be LAN cable also. It can be Satellite communication also. It's not mandatory to work with fiber cable. Fiber cable is just a medium. That's it. And inside fiber, we have light beams, and we have nothing faster than light beams or light rays. That's why fiber is quite good for sending your data in a speed, and the fastest speed is possible on Earth, right? Which is light speed, right? I hope it is clear. Cool, 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 Vaibhav. So it's done for today. We'll meet once again tomorrow at the same time, 8:30. Till then, bye-bye. And do practice. Give me the results of the problem statement which I have given today. Okay. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Bye, 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 bye.